Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies.
Jesus, Bill, what are you, awake today?
Oh, you have no idea. I'm in rare form today.
Yeah, but you were up late last night at the meetup. You were talking and talking. You went
Emma,
on
I said,
and
Emma
on
this morning,
and
I
on.
said, thank you for being here on time. She goes, what do you mean? I said, I didn't get home till 10:30, 10:45 from the meetup. But every night this week, I start at 6:30 and I have to work. I'm working till 10:30, 11 o'clock. And I don't mean like working. It's like full bore, high gear all day with 15 things going at once.
Yeah, and never catching up, right?
Oh,
Just
man,
chasing your tail.
I feel like I've got 2 or 3 deal structures I got to do. I have offers I got to make. It's like I just can't seem to catch up to it.
Yeah.
Anyways, blah, blah, blah on that. No sympathy for Bill. Episode number 171. The non-salesy way to negotiate real estate deals successfly.
Oh, non-salesy.
The non-salesy way.
You know, some people really hate sales, so This is good.
Exactly. So, 85% of your financial success, 85% of your financial success in real estate is due to your personality, ability to communicate, and negotiate.
Bill, I got 2 out of 3.
Which one, the negotiation part?
No, that's why I work with you. That's why I go, I'm going to send it to Bill.
Which means, shockingly, only 15% is due to technical knowledge. And I never seem to get this into the new people's minds that if they just follow some basic rules and laws, which are human behavioral characteristic type things, they don't need to worry about being a professional dealologist or, which is a professional deal structurer, right? It's 15% of it is knowledge. Okay. If you have the ambition and foresight to seize and master these skills over time, your financial future will be brighter than it is today, guaranteed. We are all born to negotiate. We are all born to negotiate.
No, that's backwards.
As a baby cries to get fed, what does the mommy do?
Oh, feed it.
She feeds it, which simply means the baby won the negotiation. Hello?
By pestering.
Yeah. In today's podcast, we realize not one of us are entitled to anything. More to the point, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you can negotiate, as Dr. Karrass said way back in the 50s.
Who?
Dr. Karrass, Karrass. He was the one that made that saying up.
Oh.
Yeah. And the saying was, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate.
He made
that up.
Oh, never heard that one.
Okay. And this episode will take the mild and the meek, Peter, the mild and the meek, and show them how to obtain or bring about discussions that will get everyone involved exactly what they want in a casual but focused transaction and set of agreements.
Wow, mild and the meek?
Yeah.
This must be Jesus approved.
Stop.
No, he roots for all the guys, all the underdogs.
So that's what we're going to do. Now, I'm going to preface this with that there's a lot to cover. So this is not going to be a 60-minute podcast. However, I've gotten a lot of feedback because the podcasts have been pushing 90 minutes, and I've gotten a lot of feedback that people like it because they're like mini workshops. Okay, so if that's what you're looking for, then buckle in, take some notes, because you're going to be not let down. Actually, I'm going to exceed your expectations beyond belief, because I am going to take a subject that is so touchy and feely and so sensitive, and most ignore it, and turn it into something very easy to get and hopefully some fun. but I'm not always. I'm English and have a dry sense of humor, so my fun is not always what you guys think is fun. Proven. By Peter.
Was that it? Did I miss one? Did I miss
there
one?
you go. See what I mean?
That was it. Hey, that was it. There it was. Oh man, just put your finger up so I know.
Let's start with negotiation.
Hmm.
What does it mean? Okay, so I have two definitions. So one is try to reach an agreement or compromise by discussion with others.
Mm.
Okay, so you have a goal. Actually, I just realized something. Okay, I have to add something to because I was going to write that down and I forgot about that.
Oh.
So try, because I got 10 things, but now it just turned into 11.
Okay.
So try to reach an arrangement or compromise by discussion with others.
Mm.
And then number 2 is obtain or bring about by discussion.
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting something or bringing something about by talking about it.
Right.
So on Bill's planet, inside my head, here's what negotiation means to me. The synonym for me of negotiation is communication. The more you can talk, and I'm not talking about talking.
No.
I'm talking about communicating.
Mm-hmm.
My definition of communication is you're swapping mental image pictures.
Mm-hmm.
I have an idea. I'm talking about a pink unicorn with a blue nose or blue horn, and you're talking about a 1969 Jeep Cherokee.
Same thing.
I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, same thing.
If those pictures don't align, or if I don't have the ability to be clear with my picture and discuss it well enough so that you can exactly duplicate my picture or understand my picture, then I've not done a good job. Mm. And to me, that's the crux of negotiation. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Hey, can I throw something in?
Mm-hmm.
I once looked up communication, a course or something I was on. I really wanted to get the derivation, what it really meant. And it comes from com is like together, like with, together, and uni is one.
Yeah.
So communication is becoming one, getting together as one. So the negotiating you do, the talking with each other, eventually comes up, we can do this thing together.
Right.
And it becomes like one thing instead of I want, you want, she wants, he wants. It becomes one thing.
Good. So you said the derivation. So derivation means where did it derive from, or where did it come from?
Yep.
Where was it originated?
Yep.
Okay, so I did the same thing with negotiation. The derivation.
I wanted to know that one. Good. I'm glad you got that. I was thinking I don't know that one. What is it?
So the derivation is believe it or not, for the first 250 years that the word started in existence, negotiation had the meaning of closely to its Latin root word, which is negotiatari. Okay, had the meaning of to carry on business.
Oh,
so the Latin word is N-G-O-T-I-A-R-I, however you say that.
Yeah.
Okay, but about midway through the 19th century, it changed.
So first carry on business.
Yeah, and then it changed to successfully travel along or over. So it's successfully travel along or over.
That's like when someone's driving and they don't negotiate the turn and they crash, or they do negotiate and that one.
So basically, that's the one we use is just to successfully travel along or over. So I want steak, you want chicken. I have to travel along some sort of a path to get you to agree that we should have steak. So I have to travel across this set of barriers or obstacles or agreements or whatever you want to say so that we can come to an agreement. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's negotiating. Okay. So most people think that negotiating is on planet Earth there's $100. You have 99 and I have 1. And if I negotiate $10 from you, you're $10 poorer. So you now only have $89 and I have 11.
Right.
That's what most people think negotiating is. They think it's give and take.
Yeah.
And there is some of that, but that's not necessarily what it works, which I don't talk about today, but it's the infamous win-win negotiation, right? The reason why that statement is so pronounced is because of the definitions we're talking about, right? To reach an agreement or compromise by discussion with others, right? So you're coming, like your definition of communication, you got two people coming into one, and they're happy with, or they're willing to settle with this certain agreement. You do this, I'll do that. I'll do this, you do that.
Yeah.
Okay?
Think of "Come Together"
Right.
by the Beatles.
Okay. So with that said, by the Beatles,
We're going to have a little music theme today. Watch.
So I was going to start the podcast off with that. So with the Rolling Stones, you guys told me you can't always get what you want. It's a lie. Mick Jagger, right?
Yeah.
He lied. You can't always get what you want in the song. I so wanted to play that this morning.
But if you try real hard,
yeah, that's right.
you get what you need.
You get what you need. That's right.
Thank
Emma
you,
said
Mick.
we would have royalty issues, and we started late this morning, so we couldn't play it. But it's a perfect song for this episode. So, all right. So
you can't go wrong mixing some Stones logic and some Beatles logic.
Yeah, exactly.
Get what you want, come together. I mean, they're rich. They're successful. Let's do that in real estate.
Spoken from the true magician.
No, musician.
Musician, yeah, I'm teasing you.
Magician. I'm a magical musician. Okay, next.
All right. So most people feel an urge to avoid negotiation or avoid the confrontation because they feel like it's confrontation, which is the point that I want to steer you away from today because it's not confrontation. And some downright have fear of asking because our society conditions you so that you should take what you're given, right? But in reality, absolutely every policy, every price, every custom, every expectation in business or in life is negotiable. If you have the courage to ask. Right?
Yeah.
I remember when I first met my wife, in my younger years, I was a mad negotiator. You did not do anything with me unless I negotiated.
Jeez.
I was horrible.
Jeez.
Now I just kind of bite my tongue and go on my way, but I can't tell you the amount of times my children or one of my two wives, my first and second wife, would get in a car after being in a store and they would berate me. Because they felt I embarrassed them. And all I would do is ask.
Oh.
I'll give you a classic example. I was in the grocery store 2 or 3 days ago, right? Actually, I was in Walmart buying groceries, which I never do, but I decided to go there because there was I don't know what I want. Oh, I needed some stuff for the bathroom, and I get this. So I got groceries while I was there. It's the stupidest thing in the world to me. To me, some things, I look at some things in this world and it's like just blatantly so dumb to me. I mean, like pure, like absolute anti-logic.
Like what?
So I swipe my credit card and it says, "Is this price okay?" So
is this price okay?
Yeah. So is the dollar amount okay or whatever, right?
Oh, okay.
Right? It's on the.
Well, sometimes it screws up, and you see there's a price on the. Yeah,
So I always say, it's my bad humor. I always say this price is not okay. Can you make it less?
Yeah.
It's like such a stupid question, right?
Yeah.
It's like to reword it would not be hard. I don't even know what I would reword it, but it's like a stupid question.
Yeah, it's like, does this match the price you saw on the display? Sometimes that happens. Right. It's not like, is it okay with you? Like, this isn't the Turkish market.
More like, we're going to charge your card X amount of dollars, okay?
Oh, yeah,
and
that one.
Just hit yes.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's just stupid. Anyways, it's a perfect opportunity for me to say, this price is not okay. Can I pay, instead of $68, can I pay $38?
Yep.
And that, to me, that's what we're talking about. Will you ask that? Some people will be like ashamed. Like my kids would be like, "Dad," right? Here's another one. Both my kids harass me because I love children. So we'll be in a grocery store and I'll just start talking to kids.
Yep.
And they're like, Dad, you can't do that. I'm like, why?
Because you're creepy.
Yeah.
You're creepy.
And it's like, why? If there's nothing, I mean, I was at an event on Saturday, and I was running the event, so I had to go get some some supplies for the event. And I was in Stop and Shop, so I'm standing in the aisle, right? And I don't know why I'm on this rant. I'm standing in the aisle, and a girl standing next to me, and I'm like, damn, she smells good. And I don't normally think stuff like that, right? So I walked away. I didn't say, and I bit my tongue. I didn't say nothing, right? Well, all of a sudden, now I'm on the other side of the grocery store, and she walks by me again, and I said to her, hey. She goes, yeah. I said, I'm not being weird or nothing. I said, but you smell really good. And I just turned around and walked away. She goes, thank you. But people don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't get why. I mean, it wasn't a sexual thing. She just smelled it. Whatever perfume she had on was really appealing.
Yeah.
And I don't like perfume per se. I don't like odors.
I caught a great
stuff.
one last night from somebody at the meetup, but it's nice.
Good.
But you might say, just more politically correct, like, that's a very nice smelling, that's a very nice perfume you have on. Instead of you smell nice. It just might come across in case you get that fussy person. Well, you smelling me?
Well, the police weren't waiting for me outside of the
you bit the bullet that time, Mr. Hawthorne.
All right, so we're off on a tangent already. So, all right, so I put, the last thing I told you is it's really absolutely, but in reality, absolutely every policy, every price, every custom, every expectation in business or in life is negotiable. So I want to give you an example of that.
Sure.
Okay. So I used to travel a lot. You know that. 40 weeks a year.
Yep.
Right? All over the United States and Canada. I did it for 6 years. And sometimes I would plan to leave later in the day because I would fly into a city on Friday, do a seminar Saturday and Sunday, and our whole thing, our consulting gig and all that. And then we would leave on a Monday, right? So sometimes I would have a later flight in the day, right? So I had a choice, was stay in the hotel or go to the airport. I mean, I don't have a car or nothing. What else am I going to do?
Yeah.
Right? So often you would see around in the hotel, you would see signs, right, in the room or at the front desk, that you would see signs about how checkout time was 11 a.m.
Sure.
Right? Otherwise, you'd have to...
You have to pay the whole day?
Yeah, you pay another day or sometimes $200. Sometimes it's $400, depending, like in California, when the rooms are like $250, they want you to pay $400, right, to stay extra time. Right? But there would be these signs. I would see them, right?
Sure.
So what I would do is I would call the front desk, and I'd ask for what's the latest I could stay. Right? And they would almost always say 1 p.m.
Yeah.
So then I would say to them, how much to rent the room for a few more hours? And there would always be a hesitation or a lag, and they would say, we don't rent rooms by the hour. Then I would say, oh, can I stay till 5 o'clock then? See what I mean?
Sure.
So it's not a trick. It's not anything. It's just thinking about what you're going to say and being organized and knowing what you want before you do it.
Well, it's clever about that. The second thing was, if you can stay longer, if you pay a little more, that threw them off guard, number one, and they couldn't help you with that.
Right.
Then you ask them, they're going to feel bad because they couldn't help you, because they're nice people usually. And then you ask, well, can I just stay a little longer? Now they want to try to help you because they couldn't on the last statement.
Right.
That is, that's shrewd, Mr. Hawthorne.
So you can stay, they would always say, you can stay until 5 p.m., sir. Oh. That's shrewd. See, that's what I'm worried about, because I don't want to have negotiating be shrewd. It's not shrewd. Sometimes they would say, no, you have to pay whatever, and I would pay it. But it was, what happens is most people, in my perspective, and this is such a derogatory thing for me to say, and don't take this as my entire personality, it's one little blip in my personality, but I personally think that most people walk around like robots. I got to go to the grocery store. I got to go to work. They're driving their cars. I mean, they're on automaticity. They're just kind of like doing things automatically and not thinking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, just watch people drive down the road. I mean, on the highway, they're just like in a daze. They're not driving their car. They're just automatically doing things.
It's like the car's driving them.
Yeah. And it's like they're not in present time thinking about what they're doing and controlling the situation all the time, 24 hours a day, every minute of the day. It's just how we are as humans.
Now, there's a lot of structure in the world. Now do this, now do that. And we do have to keep schedules and cooperate with each other. But once in a while, you just want to disagree a little bit and just break out and be you.
Right.
Do something.
So like when I call, if I call the utility company, I always call up and they're like, blah, 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 blah. When they answer the phone, I'm like, hi, how are you? And I always get a lag.
Yeah.
But why do I do that? I do that because I want to get their attention and I want to get them in the present time. I don't want to get them to be like, I don't want them in like some routine or something.
You're the 54th call today.
Right.
They know what it's going to say, and they're going to say this, you're going to say that, and they're not really listening. And
So the lesson I learned from the hotels was that a good reason to negotiate is so that people don't take advantage of you. Right? So it's a communication or a way to get what you want. Because I don't mean like take advantage of you like you poor soul. I took your $50. Look at me. Ha ha ha. I won. What I mean is that if you're discomfortable or what's the word?
Uncomfortable?
No. Anyways, if you're not, we'll use uncomfortable. If you're not ecstatic about doing a transaction, then you were taken advantage of. And it's not anything to do with money. It's how you feel about the transaction. It's like, I'm really glad I did that.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, or well, I had to do it, so it wasn't great, but I had to, so not happy about it, but it's over. Like
you go to Walmart and you buy a bunch of groceries, you should leave Walmart and say, I'm really glad I did that. I saved $85. Or, I go to a smoke shop, a cigar shop, and I buy a $35 cigar and I smoke it and I leave there thinking, I'm really glad I did that. It's not the $35. The cigar had nothing to do with it. Maybe it's probably the atmosphere. So that kind of stuff. I mean, the more you can do that in your life, the better off you are. And it all comes down to negotiating. It's like, what are you willing to accept and what are you willing not to accept and what are you willing to say something about and what are you willing not to say something about? You can't win all the time, so you have to kind of pick and choose your battles, right? Believe me, being married 40-something years of my life or 40 years of my life or close to it, I've learned that. You got to pick your battles.
Can't always get what you want. Come together.
So there's two types of people in this world. Those who are good negotiators and everyone else who gets taken advantage of, right?
Sure.
And every human interaction is a negotiation. You're walking down the train, you're not getting on the train, you're walking down the rail trying to get on the train, and somebody's in your way. Who's going to move, you or them? You're going to walk into them? No. Right? You're driving down the road, you come to a four-way stop sign, and somebody's there, or you're there first. You're first. I'm first. And the other person decides that they're in a hurry, and their time is more valuable than yours, and they go first.
Sure.
That was a negotiation. Right? You go to a restaurant, and you decide whether you want eggs or salad. That's a negotiation. Especially
when they don't have the lettuce you like.
We go through this every Thursday. All right, so in North America, we live in a society that is conditioned, like I said before, to accept what we are given. We're not taught to ask for what we want. Schools don't teach this.
I read something one time that helped me a lot, and it says you should demand to be paid. Demand. It said demand, not like please. So, when I do my music lessons, people owe me money, and I'm not ashamed to say, hey, just bring the money.
Right.
I can be happy about it. I'm serious about it, but It's not like I wait, sit there, I hope they hand it to me. Like, hey, did you bring it?
Right.
So it's okay to ask. Ask for the raise.
You need to do that.
You have to, because, you deserve it, and they know you deserve it. If you don't ask, they think, isn't he doing a good job for me? Why isn't he asking? Does he feel guilty about it? So, just ask.
Well, that's a whole nother podcast, to be honest with you. But allowing other people to create transgressions on you, there's a whole phenomenon behind that.
Yeah.
Allowing somebody to do something wrong,
to take advantage of you,
to do something against your agreement, is the worst thing in the world to do, because it's kind of like putting your hand in a cookie jar. You ever notice when you put your hand in a cookie jar and you didn't get caught? It's like next thing you know, a couple days later, you're back doing it again. Now you're taking 2 cookies instead of 1.
Mm-hmm.
And it continues and continues until it gets out of control, or you're so unhappy with yourself or unpleased with your performance that you're now withdrawn and hiding from everybody because you took the cookie jar. You can't go in the kitchen.
Well, you feel guilty. You feel bad.
Yeah.
Because you're good.
Yeah.
It's because you're good that happens, not because you're bad.
Yeah.
If you're bad, you wouldn't care.
Right.
And good people do bad things, so just straighten up.
All right, so let's remove negotiation as that Achilles heel that most people struggle with in life and especially in real estate. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So thankfully, we're going to give you 10 habits, except I just added one, so it'll be 11 habits now. You can form and use when working with real estate for success. But these work in life. They work in everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I don't anticipate any disagreement with these kind of like I don't want to call them laws, but they're definitely laws of nature.
Mm-hmm.
And they aren't like tricks. They aren't salesman tricks. They're actually human behavioral type characteristics.
Okay.
So one of the first things I needed to learn when I first started getting immediate results, or started getting those results immediately and consistently, was this little law, which I learned from the great Dan Kennedy. I read it in a newsletter. I don't know where he got it from, but I first heard of it in a newsletter because I used to subscribe to his newsletters, which, by the way, he's not doing very well. I heard he's in hospice.
Oh, really?
So he's like, there's been a lot of his materials been flying around lately because,
I haven't even Googled the guy, and he showed up on my Facebook feed.
Yeah, a lot of talk about it on Facebook.
Okay, that's too bad.
I subscribe to, I think, 2 or 3 newsletters that are expensive newsletters. And when I mean expensive, I mean hundreds of dollars a month. Both newsletters this month, 2 out of the 3 newsletters this month were attributing them to Dan Kennedy.
Wow.
And what they had learned from him, and their takeaways and his materials, and he's definitely a pioneer in a lot of marketing aspects. He was the one that came up with probably the most impinging part for me with his training was the triangle, which is message, market, media.
Mm-hmm.
And if you nail those 3 things, you have a successful marketing campaign.
Mm.
And that's where we get, and I talk about all the time, the message to market match was all Dan Kennedy.
Wow.
And I attribute it to him whenever I talk about it, or I try to anyways.
You do?
Anyways, what he taught me was, number 1 rule in negotiation for me is he who wants it the least has the most power.
That's right. I don't care.
Yeah. So what does that mean to you?
Well, figure boy and girl. The one who sees the other one as being so attractive as chasing them can be turned down. The other one has the power. Like, will you go out with me? Will you go out with me? Yes. But I want to go here. You have to pay this, and you have to buy this for me. You get to call the shots.
Right. Okay. So, he who wants it the least has the most power.
Yeah. So if you don't, well, I notice that when you're negotiating with people, you're not like all needy, like, gee, I really like your house. I really, really, really want to buy it. Right. When you go on the car lot, you don't go, oh my God, this is the car I've been waiting. Shut up. Don't let the car salesman hear that.
So just to reverse the points, okay, let's do it in a negative connotation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's say you're getting sued.
Mm.
Okay. Let's say I'm getting sued for $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. For whatever. I'm getting sued for $10,000. So the lawyers are coming at you. Right?
Yep.
So the first thing I do when I get into a situation is I think to myself, I run through in my own mind, what's the worst that can happen?
Sure. Start there and work your way back up.
So it's like, well, what's the worst that can happen is I'll have to pay the $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm negotiating, we'll say, with the lawyers. And they'll be like, bam, hit me. Bam, hit me. Bam, hit me. And I'll be like, okay, well, go ahead and do that.
Mm.
I'm okay with that. And they'll be like, if you don't do this, we're going to whack your credit. Okay, I'm cool with that. Well, if you don't do this, we're going to attach your house. Okay, you want the address? If you don't do this, then we're going to swipe your checkbook. Okay, no problem. And
you deflate them.
Yeah. Okay.
You take their power away.
Right.
Well, they say like you have to give somebody the power to hurt you,
right,
or to have an effect on you.
Right. So I don't allow them to do that to me. Now, inside, I might be burning up thinking, I don't want them to swipe my checkbook, but I've already decided that if I have to, I pay the 10 grand.
Mm-hmm.
I can get the money from here. I get the money from there. I can do whatever, and I'll pay the 10 grand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But you're right. I deflate them.
Mm.
Okay. So what happens is it makes them powerless because they don't have an advantage over you. They're not going to, and some people are bad people. They want to nullify you. They want to bring you down to their level so they can control you, because if you're too powerful for them, or you're above them, or too much for them, they have to, much like a termite gnawing away at a foundation, they need to do that. And sometimes it's very overt, and sometimes it's very insidious.
You don't always see the termites.
You don't see them, right? But they're gnawing away, trying to. And a good example of that is somebody, taking a shot at your reputation. Oh, Bill doesn't do good business. He cheats people. He's telling the girl at the grocery store who's thinking about calling me to sell her house, right? So that kind of stuff. Okay, so those are good examples of the person that has the least amount of power. Wants it the least, has the most amount of power, right? So let's say you're playing poker.
Yeah.
Right? The infamous poker face.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So one of the things that most people don't realize unless they become a professional poker player, or not even professional, become a consistent poker player, is one of the things that you need to learn is that you need to build up the pot. If you have a good hand, you don't come out the first time and you're betting, say you're betting dollars, right? You don't come out and say, I'll raise the ante $100, right?
Too obvious.
Right. So what you need to do is you need to put, I'll raise it $5, I'll raise it $10. And you want to build up the ante because you know that you have a good pot. I mean, you got a good hand and you can win the pot. You think you can win the pot, right? So you build it up, right? That's another classic case of the person that wants it the least has the most power. So you have a poker face on, and it shouldn't be fake. It's just you're not letting your emotions sneak through.
Yeah.
You're not getting excited and showing somebody. You're not tipping your hand.
Yeah.
And that's where that saying comes from.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You're not tipping your hand. Okay, so the person that has that wants it the least has the most power. Okay, let's do one more. Your kid is arguing with you. We'll say a 6-year-old kid, right? And they're arguing with you. I don't want to eat my dinner.
Yeah. And you have to eat your dinner because you have to eat your dinner.
Right.
Or
you say, well, don't have your dinner, but you're not eating until tomorrow morning at breakfast. And you completely take the must have. You must have it. You take it right off.
Yeah. Okay, then don't eat.
Right. And the thing with kids is that you have to stick to your guns. Like if you say to them, you're punished tonight, you're not watching TV, that means you can't watch TV either because they won't be, otherwise they'll be watching TV with you. Right. So you have to keep to your word.
Sure.
So if you tell them, at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, they're not going to have dinner, later on when they're hungry, you can't fall into, oh, he's going to starve and die. You have to make sure you put him to bed hungry. And he wakes up the next morning hungry. If you tell him you're going to do that, then you have to follow through, right? Which is very much like negotiating, like deal making. Okay. Now, all of this, you had already brought it up. All this walks us right into number 2, okay, which is, drops us right at the front door of the cousin of what I just talked about, which is what? You tell me.
He who wants it
the
least
has
the most power.
Okay, so this walks us right into this next one, right? And it's probably the number one reason why a majority of my coaching clients don't get their first deal until they master this. Sometimes it's, immediately. Sometimes it's months. I've seen it take years.
Ouch. So this sounds important, Bill.
So now that I've kind of spotted it and named it, Ben Seatle, who's a copywriter and email expert, it's called his thing is called emailplayers.com, I think it's called.
Okay.
Ben Seatle is the one that taught me this. It's in one of his books, and he didn't teach it to me. He just adroitly he wrote it down.
Okay.
Right? And he put it in the right words, and that's don't be needy.
Don't
be needy.
Is that number 2?
Yeah.
Don't be needy.
Right.
Okay.
So having zero neediness, not just in your deals, but in life, is a true art form. Okay? Because this is a sister to granting beingness. So you need to grant beingness. I have to allow you to be who you are. Right? And not be needy. Like allow you to be Pete. You allow me to be me. Right? And not be needy. Not take away from you being who you are.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wish you would do this. I wish you would do that.
Right.
I need this from you. I need that from you.
How many relationships go south because women try to change men? That's like an old adage for a long time.
There's a saying. I don't know it though. Isn't there one like trying to change somebody? I don't know what it is though.
I'm as we all know, I'm definitely a weirdo. And my entertainment on television is Turner Classic Movies, which is black and white movies that go all the way back to, some of them don't even have, some of them have music and just the words. They don't even have sound.
Like the silent ones?
The silent
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I go back that far with movies, right?
Yeah.
And as long as I've seen those movies, so many of those movies, the plot is the girl trying to change the guy. He's a gambler.
She's trying to save him too, right? Yeah, save him from
so
themselves.
Neediness kills everything about you that's attracting or attractive.
May say that again.
Yeah. So neediness is everything. Neediness kills everything about you that's attractive.
Being needy.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're needy.
Mostly it stabs in the heart like a wooden stake in a vampire, your influence with others. It's like being needy just kills everything. Think about it.
It seems like the wrong direction. Like being needy comes to you, pulling towards you. Right? And being influential, isn't that more like influencing going out?
Right.
So it's like me. Well, if it's about you, your opinion isn't as good. I need it to be about what's outside of you.
Right. So this is so correct, what I'm teaching you. So correct that look in society.
Ouch.
Right? Look at some marketing things like dialing into what is it? What's in it for me? The Wi-Fi, YFM or something like that. What's in it for me? That's all about marketing. We have in our society, a lot of times we talk about, oh my goodness, what am I thinking here? So we talk about what is the word I want? Oh my God, I just went blank. Oh my God, I hate when this happens.
And I'm not sure where you're headed, so I don't even have a clue to help you.
Society, we talk about in society where they're entitled.
Yeah.
Where people are entitled. We had this flurry of entitled younger generation. Like they're entitled, or they should get what they deserve just because they were born.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And we have a rash of that. And that's a form of that's that's neediness dramatized.
Yeah.
Right? Like they just expect it should be because.
Yeah. Give it to me.
Yeah. And it's like,
if people are in trouble, you help them.
yeah.
But you let somebody be needy, you're saying you are not capable. That's what I don't like about it. Mm-hmm. You can't on your own. You are unable to function well enough.
Or you're just lazy and don't want to go get it.
Oh, yeah, that could be that's probably what's really happened,
right.
But they can.
Right. So let's move on to number 3. And these are just kind of flowing out of my head as I wrote this, right?
Well, that's not a bad part of your body. It's okay.
Yeah, number 3, which is the next very, very influential thing that this is again from Ben Settle. Settle is his name. I call it Settle. Settle. It's actually Ben Settle. And this is in his book Persuasion of the Villains or something like that. Just go on Amazon and type in Ben Settle and you'll find his books. He's an amazing writer. Okay. Don't put anyone on a pedestal.
Yeah, I remember I remember when you first hit that one. You liked that one. That hit you, boy.
So, if you put someone on a pedestal, the only choice they have is to look down on you.
They have to, because you're underneath them,
right? And this means things only result in a person looking down on you has no respect for you. They lose loyalty for you, or loyalty with you, and you lose influence, power, freedom, and dignity. Do that again. So when they're looking down on you, right, this results in a person losing respect for you, right? You lose loyalty with them because they think they're better than you, right? You lose influence and power, freedom, and dignity by somebody looking down on you.
Because you put yourself beneath them.
Because you looked up at them. Let me give you a perfect example of this. Our average house medium around here is, what would you say it is?
200.
200. I would say between 200 and 250. Right? So we have a couple counties where the average medium is like 900,000. So we get down in the Fairfield area, Darien, Wilton, down in those areas.
Sure.
Their average median, we'll say, is $1 million, $900 to $1 million.
Yep.
So now you get a seller that has an $800,000 house, and you're living in a $200,000 house. What is so easy to do with them?
Well, it's easy to feel humbled because your house is only $200,000, and they have your house. My house is better than your.
You put them on a pedestal.
Yeah.
So they make $250,000 a year, so they can afford their $1 million house, and you make $75,000 a year, so you can afford your $200,000 or $180,000 house.
Sure.
So right away, you think they're better than you. That's putting them on a pedestal.
Yep.
So now what happens is when you talk to them as a real estate investor, you lose, right, respect, right? You lose loyalty. They can't be loyal to you because they're looking down on you.
Yeah.
Right? You lose influence of power, like you're the professional real estate person here, right? You lose freedom, and definitely you lose your dignity. It's not easy to work with them.
No.
Because they're know best. They know best about everything because they have money. Now, I probably shouldn't say this, and hopefully she's not listening, but my mother-in-law is like this. See, my father-in-law, he did well through life. He had a couple pieces of property. He had a good executive job. And my mother-in-law will rant to me about his 3 children because it's his second marriage by 30 years, right? She'll rant to me about how they have money. They have money, not not he has money and she's married into it. It's how they have money and how they have money for a reason. And that now she's never had children. And that the three girls, meaning my wife and her two sisters, should listen to her because she has made it and has money, and what she says is correct.
Sorry, it's funny.
But here's the point. This is having had money myself and having gone through the evolution of having money, not having money, having money. I, too, have run into this because you think when you have money, you think who you are. Yeah. You're above the intelligence of the rest because you made it. So this is not some weird thing my mother-in-law has. It's actually a thing that you go through when you get money. It's part of the progress.
But some of that is justified, at least hey, I did good. Good for me. I tried hard and I succeeded. But you don't want to be the stupid part of that either at the same time.
But you don't want to condemn people because they don't have money and that they should listen to you. And you come off with this righteousness.
Yep.
I
know something you don't.
Right. Don't talk to me like that. Do you know who I am?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's being on a pedestal. In that particular case, you're putting yourself on the pedestal and looking down at others instead of you putting somebody else on a pedestal. So just be careful with this, okay? I will tell you one of the things that I have learned in a lot of tabletop closings and being in a lot of houses, making a lot of offers, is I don't care if you're Donald Trump, the real estate investor, or you're one of the brand new people I met last night that came to our meetup and have never done anything about real estate. I personally, and you can contest to this, in fact, I'll tell you a quick story about this once I tell you this. I treat you the same. I treat everybody the same.
Yeah.
Right? Now, proof of that, and the story is I have a coaching client that is over the ramparts. He is amazing, Bill. I mean, he is amazing because not only does he do the coaching, not only does he listen to everything we say, not only does he fully believe all of the things that we do, he's had good success. He also has taken it above and beyond because he needed help with role playing and took it upon himself to do an extra coaching call, which we now do in my coaching group. He does it. So Monday nights we do our coaching call. On Thursday nights, he gathers the troops and they do role playing, like how to handle what people tell you as part of the coaching group. So much so that I'm probably going to have to make a deal with him to get him to continue to do it at some point.
Yeah.
But he's doing it on his own right now, which is amazing. It's amazing for him, and it's because it helps him by helping others.
You do something like that, you're going to succeed and help other people. You're all going to learn.
And it's helping the new guys coming in.
Yeah.
Okay? So the point that I'm making is that he works at the railroad down in New York, because we're in Connecticut, and somehow or another, he met the guy that lives across the street from me.
Lives across the street from you?
The guy that lives across the street from me works for the railroad, and they met.
Wow.
And it's kind of funny. Bill doesn't know this. He's going to listen to the podcast. He always listens to the podcast, so he's going to hear this story, and I'm going to probably get shit for it later on. But the point is that the guy across the street talks about how Bill talks about me and raves about how great the group is and how I treat people, right? And then Bill comes back on the coaching call and he's like, I got to tell you, I met Bill's neighbor and he had raving things to say about Bill. And his comment on the coaching call was it just goes to show you his character, that he is for real. He's not just pretending on this coaching call. Yeah. It is for real, right? So I'm not saying that to boast me or anything like that. What I'm telling you is you too can do this by treating everybody equal and not putting anybody on a pedestal.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if the guy's got $1 million house or if he's got a shack that's worth $20,000. Treat everyone the same, and you will notice a big difference.
We have met some very successful and very nice people. I've met some very big CEOs worked with them on different things, even music lessons, and they're usually, almost always, very nice people.
Right.
It's not like, oh, successful people are jerks. It's not that way. You will find the jerks, but it's like people in any strata. Right. There's good ones and bad ones. There's a lot of great people, and that's one of the reasons why they succeeded.
Right.
A lot of them are willing to help us as we do our real estate and try new things for nothing. Like, well, what do you want us to do for you? Oh, no, nothing. It's fine. I just want to help you. Are you kidding me? Right. And they got like money and success. They're really nice. So do that.
Yeah, exactly. All right, number 4, do your homework. Moving on. Do your homework.
There's homework.
You need to prepare diligently and collect all of your information. Right? This is where I talk about building the cinder block foundation. You know, I was talking about last night at the meetup, right? You dig a hole and you go down, and I mean, now they pour concrete, but just get the concept. You dig a hole and you got cinder blocks, and you put one in, and then you put another one in, and you put another one in, and you put another one in, and pretty soon you have a foundation, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what I'm talking about, right? So, you take a piece, everything you get. Let me see if I do this right. Information, every piece of information is like a cinder block. So this
is like when you're talking to somebody, like somebody selling a house or any kind of negotiating and trying to figure. Well, you don't know what they want. They might not know what you want. How are you going to figure that out if you don't get piece by piece? And what I learned from you is you're not going to know right away.
Right.
You know, I'll be sitting like, I don't know what to do. Right? 10 minutes in, like, I don't know what to do. But you
get some information.
Yeah.
Communicate, get some information. Now, before we get too far off here, I'm not giving the paralysis of analysis guys permission to go do this for weeks, months, and years. Because what I do is I do very little before the deal meeting. I mean, obviously, we've done the prospect-suspect form. I do have an idea that they're motivated. I don't do much homework on my potential seller until I gather enough information, like what you're talking about. So what I do is I have... Let me see here. I want to hear it from the horse's mouth. So I want to go into the deal meeting and get it from them, right? So once I get the information, I then go verify it. You know, I'll go on to Google and Facebook or LinkedIn and, you know, maybe public records and the town hall, and, you know, I'll go verify the information, right? Point is that you have to do your homework, and you have to have all this information before you do the deal. What happens with so many is that putting an offer in is just talking. It's very loose. But most feel that when you put an offer in, once you say it, you can't renege. Right? Is it reasonable to compare it to fishing? Like, you do some homework, you know where you should be trying to drop the line, and you drop the line, see if it works. Right. You use the right bait, you use the right hook, all that stuff. Yeah. But if it doesn't work, it's okay. Right. Just shoot something else. So, just to clarify this, because this is going to be a touchy thing for me on the support tickets, because I don't want it to contradict other things that I've said. Okay? So I do a majority of my homework in the house. Okay? Yeah, you do not do very much at all before. I don't want to have a preconceived idea of the deal, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes. I don't want to have a preconceived idea of the deal. Okay? So I do a lot of my homework in the house. Now, here's an important factor. I'm going to do my homework, and I'm going to make sure I know what I'm doing at the point of putting the offer in writing. As soon as I put the offer in writing, at that point, I'm going to get a little bit more serious about my homework. Right. You know, so in other words, I'll be just talking to you and doing what ifs and scenarios, and, you know, like I'll say to you, you know, if I were to pay you $180,000, here's what the closing cost would be, right? I just gave them an offer. If I were to pay you $180,000, I'm not saying that's the number, but if I were to pay you, hypothetically, if I were to pay you $180,000, here's what would happen, right? And what I'm doing is which I'm going to go over at the end. I'm doing that for a reason, so we'll come back to that. Okay, but that's all part of the negotiation. The point is that the definition of negotiating that we gave is two people communicating and passing ideas back and forth and trying to come to a common point of agreement.
Right.
Right? You go a little, I go a little, we meet halfway in the middle, right? So the point is that once you meet in the middle, you start getting a little bit more serious on what you're saying and how you're doing it once it goes in writing. Because if it's in writing, it's true. That's something you could take to court and you could sue. Okay, but prior to that, it's all he said, she said. Okay, so just realize when you're in the he said, she said, take the liberty of trying some things. But once it's in writing, you don't want to change too much. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, sure.
Okay, which brings us to number 5. Number 5 is always present your offers with great value. Right? So greater value than other offers or what the seller has heard of or gotten before. Okay? So how do you do this? Well, step number 4, doing your homework, right, is a huge part of this. If you've done this correctly, you'll ask the person what's needed and wanted.
Right.
Okay? So, see, it always amazes me, right? Of course, I have this weirdness, which when I was a kid, I always thought that I was weird because my mother told me all the time. She still tells me at 55 years old that I'm weird. Okay.
Well, I think there's a definition of weird that comes something wrong like unique. Yeah, unique. If that helps at all.
Eccentric. Right? I've heard all these things. I'm flat on all of them. And I'm okay because it's just whatever.
Well, you don't want to be average.
Yeah, I don't want to be average. Well, I don't even care. Actually, sometimes I do want to be average.
Oh, okay.
See, it's always amazed me that there's so many books on sales. It amazes me. It blows me away. Because after reading all of them and spending thousands of dollars on educating myself on sales, really what you need to know is what our formula is. Our little formula, right? So it's like contact and communicate to motivated sellers, right?
Yeah.
Tell them what you do. I buy houses. So you make sure your message and your market match, right? Then ask them what they want.
Yeah, but see, there's the point right there. I've been thinking as you're talking, what I'll make the mistake of, hopefully less now than earlier on, and other people will make, is that you're trying to think, what should I do? What should I say? What should I offer? And if you just listen, they will tell you what they want.
You don't even have to do that. All you have to do is say, what would have to happen for me to buy your house today? Yeah. That's asking them what they need and want. It's like just, I've given it to you on a golden platter. And I tell you, when I say I've given it to you, do you know how many hundreds and hundreds of people I've asked that question to see the results, to get it to those exact words, so that every time I ask the same exact question, I get the same exact answer.
Yeah.
It's proven. It's tested. It's freaking scientific. It happens the same way every time. Know that statement. Yeah. What would have to happen for me to buy your house today? I don't give a flying crap if you've bought 10 million houses. I don't care if you're Grant Cardone, Ron LeGrand. I don't care who you are or if you're the first guy. It puts you on the same playing field as everybody else. End of story. That's asking what's needed and wanted.
Yep.
Now, here's the amazing thing. What puts me, this is my unique selling proposition, if you would, meaning that what puts me different than everybody else in training about real estate is once you ask them, then you give them what they were asking, which puts us right back to the 7 steps of real estate that I use. Right?
7 offers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you ask them, and they say, well, I want full asking price. Well, then give them a slot deal offer.
Yeah.
You know, I want an 80% loan to value offer. You know, in other words, I'm willing to give you 20% equity. So you give them a getting the deed offer. Right? When you give it to them, or at least negotiate to a happy medium so both of you are happy, because these 7 steps. So you ask them, what would have to happen for you to sell me your house today? They say, well, you know, the house is worth 200. Give me 205. Okay. If I give you 205, will you sell me the house? Yes.
Can't say no.
And then pitch them a slot deal. And what you're going to do is you're going to pitch them a slot deal, which is a sandwich lease option transfer. And you pitch them a slot deal and just put, instead of doing a 2-year term, do a 5 or 10-year term. And you still make money. And if you don't know what we're talking about, go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/free stuff and watch the videos, because it explains all these different deal structures.
Yep.
So I'm amazed at, why do you have to like read all these sales books? Just follow this little formula.
Well, maybe people just don't listen. I mean, we've all gone to with this car dealership, a restaurant, and they're pitching my specials today. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, it's fine, but I came for a salad.
Right.
What do we have? I want a salad.
So you know? I don't know about your life, but here's my life. This is my life. Right?
Yeah.
Another little rant.
You know my life.
if I want, like, for example, today we're going to the diner because I want tomato soup with noodles. Okay. I already know what I want, and I know I can get that there. She'll make that for me.
Yeah.
Right. If I want to have, I eat once in a while. I eat a sub: ham, baked ham, bologna, Swiss cheese, lettuce, tomato, mayonnaise with vinegar.
Okay.
So that's my sandwich. I go to a specific store just for that.
Because they make that.
When I go into restaurants, I eat 1 or 2 things off of that menu. That's all I eat there. And if I want something different, I go to a different restaurant that's really good at that.
Oh, cool.
Like if I want to eat spaghetti and meatballs, I go to this restaurant.
Yeah.
If I want to eat steak, I go to that restaurant. Okay? I don't think I'm much different than most people. But I know where to go when I want it. Right?
Yeah.
So you should be that way with your seller. They should know what you should have the offer so they can come and get it when they want it. Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's move on. Did I beat that to death? I got a little emotional. I was banging on the table.
It's so dead, it's starting to smell a little bit. No, it's fine.
Number 6. That was good, Peter. That was good. Number 6. Which what did I write here? Which pumps us into number 6. Okay. Oh, I get it. So number 5 puts us right into number 6, which is make offers to motivated sellers. Right? What's their go button?
Their go button.
That's what a motivated seller is. What is their go button? Go button. How could you push their go button? The more you know about the seller, the better the deal will go. Okay? We've done lots of podcasts on this one thing about motivated sellers, finding the motivated sellers, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, right? Only to let you know it's a huge part of negotiating. Otherwise, your wisdom and help fails or falls on deaf ears. So if you're not dealing with a prospect, your wisdom, all the work you're doing on how to structure deals and talk to people, listening to us, all your studies and all your work falls on deaf ears.
Yeah, talking to the wrong guy.
Right? Without any measurable results. So like I said last night in the meetup, and like I say so many oftentimes, if you are making too many offers or talking to too many suspects, you'll start to think that the industry doesn't work. If you're not making enough deals, then it's because you haven't sorted out how to weed out a prospect from a suspect. You're not whacking suspects. You're in too many houses with suspects. If you've gone a year or 6 months and you're doing presentations, you're in the house, you're talking to people on the phone, you haven't mastered the prospect suspect process.
Mm-hmm.
If you're making presentations out in the house and you've done 10, 12, 15 of them, then you haven't mastered talking to prospects. You're talking to suspects.
Yeah.
You got something missing.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't heard or done a deal with a motivated seller yet.
Mm.
And it's kind of like it's kind of like a teenage boy dreaming about being with a teenage girl, and he has all these ideas about what it's like their first time, and then he does it the first time, and usually it's not what he thinks it was going to be like, but yet he's now learned what it's like.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's going to enhance that.
Mm-hmm.
But until he did it the first time, or they did it the first time, they don't know.
Yeah.
Right? So it's the same way with a prospect. Until you've actually seen one, heard one, touched one, did business with one, you don't get it.
Right, because you're not trying, get this straight, you're not trying to convince somebody to be motivated.
That's right.
They either is or there isn't. Now, they might not be strongly motivated, and you can cultivate it and fan the fire a little bit. But if they're not motivated,
you got to have that spark.
You cannot convince them. Somebody doesn't want to buy the damn red car, they're not going to buy the damn red car.
Right.
They don't want it.
You got to have that spark, so you can push it, and you can pour gasoline on it and make a fire. But they got to have the spark.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yes.
Number 7, always be prepared with an alternate plan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Which goes back to what I was just talking about. Too often my coaching clients go into negotiating with a one-track mind. Right. This makes the deal rigid and stops information from flowing. Okay. This, believe it or not, is the whole reason my little system came into existence.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah, because you were losing deals otherwise, right?
Because I got into a house and started gathering facts, getting information, and I needed more than the one offer I was prepared to deliver before I got in the house.
Yeah, you think you get some information, and I've heard me do it and your coaching students. Why they sell in the house? Well, I think it's because he must want to, because we think we know what they're thinking.
Right.
Shut up and listen.
And it depended on what I found when I was talking to the seller. And that would determine my course of negotiation. So again, if you haven't seen it, go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/free stuff. Watch the loan to value ratio video. Okay. That's where you determine which offer to make. And very often what happens is we have a spider in the room, Peter.
Oh, that's
okay. He's
it's
crawling
2
down
feet away from me. I'm okay.
Yeah. He's making his web crawling down from the sky. I caught him out of the corner. You caught him, and then I caught him.
Well, you looked in. What is he looking?
Yeah,
there he goes.
So here's what happens. Okay.
Weensy. Another song.
At the end of the day, most of us believe that we are in the real estate business. And so loudly I have said, well, you're not really in the real estate business. You're really in the business of marketing. So you have to find your sellers. You have to find your buyers. You have to connect people. Okay. Truth be told, it's not any of that. We're actually buying and selling equity. Right? So equity is the profit of a house, like after you pay all your bills. And, so it's like, you just made $100 for cleaning somebody's gutters, but it cost you $13 to do it.
Yep.
So your profit is blah.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the way a house is. But when they get all done, right, you have your expenses, you have what you owe, you have your taxes, you have all these things. And when you're all done, there's a check left. That's your equity. Right? So really what we negotiate is the equity. So talking about all those other things is irrelevant. Paying off a $160,000 mortgage is not part of our negotiation because we're not going to negotiate that.
No, you have to pay that. You can't change that one. That's the bill.
Right. So why negotiate that number? So why say I'm going to give you $200,000 and negotiate something you don't have to negotiate? Let's negotiate something that the seller has control over and can actually make a decision on and continue to go through the deal based on their decision because they have control over it. Yep. So the only thing they have control over is their equity. They don't have control over what the taxes are. They don't have control over what the attorney is going to charge them for the most degree. I mean, they could change attorneys, but it's not going to make or break a deal, a few $100s, right? they have control over that 30, 40, 50, $100,000 worth of equity. Like, for example, I have a deal I'm doing with one of my coaching clients right now, 2 days ago. The seller has $100,000 worth of equity. So they want $100,000 worth of equity, and they got their payment is $31.50 a month, which is a strong payment. Okay, so my seller's struggling around with. I mean, my coaching client's struggling around with it. What do? It's like you do a slot deal. Why do you do a slot deal? Because I don't want you stuck with. Why don't I stay in the deal? For what? There's no equity and there's no cash flow. Why would you want to stay in the deal? It doesn't make sense.
Well, it doesn't fit the loan to value ratios of what you do.
So why be on the hook for $3,150 if your buyer doesn't pay you and now you got to pay that? How do you get that money back? Where do you get that money from? There's no cash flow. There's no equity. You don't get that money back. This is being a creative real estate investor. Like you're thinking about how can I be in a deal for little or no money.
Right.
So I can keep my returns very high.
And not too much risk.
Right. Okay. So the point is this. I said to him, if he gave you the $100,000 worth of equity, would you mind paying the $3,150 a month, being on the hook for that? He goes, hell no, without hesitation. You see how it works? So you're buying and selling equity. So if you wanted to protect that $100,000 worth of equity, you're going to act differently. Okay, so in your negotiating, this is how it's going to be. If you have $100,000 equity and you're trying to protect it, you're negotiating what you're going to do and how you're going to do it is going to change. But if there is no equity, then it's going to be different. So when you're negotiating, you have to know which offer to make based on the equity. So that's where my 7 strategies come into play, because a slot deal is meant to go in and go out and not spend a lot of time. It's 5-10 hours, if that. Okay, it's not meant to dwell on. But if I have one of my big fat deals, like we talk about all the time, where I have $10,000 or $15,000 money now, and then I got $1,000 a month positive cash flow, and I got $90,000 in the back end, I'm going to pay attention to that deal. That's the deal I've been looking for. That's the deal I'm going to put a bunch of time into and make sure I don't lose it. That's the deal I'm going to negotiate harder. Right?
And that's a real one.
That's a real deal.
But you didn't make up numbers. I know that deal.
Right.
So that's real stuff.
Yeah.
That's in play right now.
Yeah. Okay. So, make sense?
Oh, sure.
All right.
Sure.
Let's move on to number 7. Always be prepared with an alternative plan. Okay. That was the one I just did. I'm sorry. So that's the one I just did. So always be prepared for an alternative plan. So to summarize, what I was saying is if you have the 7 strategies, you always have another plan. Yeah,
because you'll make an offer, it doesn't work out. You go, well, what if we do this?
Right.
So you can be a bit comfortable in a house knowing that you have 3 fishing rods, 3 different sets of bait and hooks and all that, and you can just try it. But 3, one at a time though.
Yeah, you just do one at a time. Yeah. All right, good. So number 8, know when to walk away. Okay, this is most notable on the front end of the deal, because it starts good, it stays good. It starts bad, it stays bad. Oh. That's my philosophy. It's probably a bad saying, but
no. Why would it get better if it's not? Because you're dealing with people, and it is what it is. They're not going to change. It's not going to change.
Knowing you have a prospect or a suspect is very important. Like I'll get a coaching client call up and say, I got this really motivated seller. Oh my God, can you talk to them with me? Can we do a 3-way? I don't want to lose this deal. And I'll get on the phone with them, which I don't do anymore. I'll get on the phone with them and I find out, oh yeah, they got a $300,000 house that's worth $290 and they're motivated to get their $300.
Yeah.
Because
I have another word for that. I'm not going to say it on the air.
Oh, I'd love to hear that word.
Well, we can call it greedy.
Okay.
Unflexible.
Yeah.
All for them, none for you.
Right. Okay, so yeah, they were motivated, but not motivated to do what we want to do. No. So motivation makes a difference. You want to make sure they're motivated to do a terms deal.
Yeah.
If they're motivated to listen to you so that you can use the least amount of money, and you don't use the least amount of money in every deal because you don't have money or because you're cheap, like they want you to believe. How many sellers have told me, I don't want to do that. What's the matter? You don't have any money? You can't buy the house? And I just go right back at them. Well, that doesn't matter. Your terms are not conducive for my business plan. Right? Because truth of the matter, I had one the other day. I'll give you an example. I'm trying to buy, I'm not anymore, but I was trying to buy a $200,000 3-family house. He offered me financing. The lawyer killed it. So he's like, he's like berating me because I don't have $200,000 to go buy his house. So he's like, well, why don't you just pay cash for it? I'm like, why? Well, because then you could get the positive cash flow. So I said to him, okay, I understand your perspective. Now let's go on my side of the desk and let's talk about me. If I'm going to put up $200,000, why not put up $200,000 and buy $1 million piece of property and have 30 doors instead of 3?
Mm-hmm.
And he just went dead silent. He goes, you're right.
Now, people like that buy one house,
Right.
maybe one more. We try to buy one every month.
Right.
That's they don't get it.
So anyways, there you go. All right. So what the seller is willing to do all the time, while you're in the deal. So let me read this. What the seller is willing.
Hey, Bill, I had a thought while you're thinking that on that guy that's motivated. He's not motivated to sell the house. He's motivated to get his money.
Right.
But he's not motivated to sell the house. When they're motivated to sell the house, they will work on something because their house has to go away.
Right.
They have to leave. They have 2 houses.
Well, this guy was motivated to give the house to his grandson, his autistic grandson.
Yeah.
He wanted to give the money to his autistic grandson.
Yeah, that case is one. I'm talking about the one before that.
Oh, right.
They're just like, I want $300,000.
Right.
They're motivated to get their money, not to sell the house. We're looking at people that are motivated to sell the house. They have to leave. They have to go someplace.
So to your point, too many sellers ask for money, not caring where you're going to get it from.
Right.
They don't put themselves in your shoes and wonder where you're going to get the money from. They just want their money. They're being selfish because they just want their money. To your point, they don't think of where you're going to get it. Okay. All right. So the seller's willingness, what they're willing to do, are your velvet ropes to get into the nightclub. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about, like being a 70s kid. You get the line outside of the nightclub, and the bouncer decides who's going to get in and who's going to get out, right? So if you lose this willingness, right, or you have other influences that taint your seller's motivation, like a lawyer or accountant or just an opinion leader. Like, for example, I'll do a deal with somebody in the house and they'll go home and they'll say to their grandmother, I'm going to do this. And she's be like, why would you do that? And she's an opinion leader for that person. It changes the seller's willingness. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it comes back to number 5, which is present your offer with greater value, right? And make sure that you're always enhancing or embellishing or pushing what they're willing to do.
Mm-hmm. Is this where you find out that they have a certain problem, a certain need, like they need to move in a certain time? That stuff. Like
it's along that line, but it's more like what are they willing to do? What do they want? What resonates with them? What makes them feel the warm and fuzzies? Right? And you just help them do that. Mm-hmm. Like my guy we were just talking about, his warm and fuzzy is to help his autistic grandchild.
Yeah, and I know you had that set up and arranged so that he'd get good cash flow. It would probably go on kind of forever the way it was set up.
Just in that deal, I mean, I was offering him $343,000 on a $200,000 house. Because I had arranged payments at 4%, and if I paid him $954.87 a month for 30 years, he would have got $343. His attorney said to him, "Well, what happens if he doesn't pay? What do you do?" And he influenced my guy and took his willingness to get that $343,000 and made it vanish. He was no longer willing to do that because he had contradictory facts. Mm-hmm. They were not even true. They were false. Because the lawyer had no right in saying that. Because I have found most lawyers operate in fear. They're afraid of getting sued. Yeah. Or they're afraid of repercussions. They're afraid of their, whatever they do has an effect that's not favorable.
So it's not like they're protecting the client. They're protecting themselves first.
They don't even know it.
Yeah. They don't want to get in trouble.
Okay. So one thing I've learned is that the greater value can change during the deal. Okay, especially with the outside influencers, like I said, or the opinion leaders. They can switch that willingness or that what they're willing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So with that said, right, you need to be willing to walk away. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You
it's better to walk away than be stuck with something for 2 years that you don't like.
You can't. That's right. You can't have that neediness, or you can't put them on a pedestal because you're trying to make a deal. You can't do any of the other things that we're talking about. You need to be willing to walk away.
Well, if you presented a good, solid deal and they don't see it and they don't work on it, can't they call back in 6 months? Mm-hmm. Can't they call back in a year? Or you check back and things don't go the way they want?
So we're quite a ways into the podcast, and I don't want to elaborate because I want to finish. But I want you to know that if you are going to do what I'm going to talk about in number 10, okay, if you do what I'm going to talk about in number 10, is what I just said, okay, if you're constantly observing and monitoring the other person's actions and their emotion and what their willingness is, when it changes, you can change too. Mm. And if they decide that deposit is what they're willing to do, then just change with them and keep the deal going. Mm-hmm. Right?
You can change the numbers if there's a deposit, but
right. So they already have affinity with you.
Yeah. They're
already communicating with you. Now, whatever's real to them, if it changes, you need to change to keep it going.
Well, it's like a delayed, well, what if we do this? Right. And try a different offer.
Right. And you can liven the deal back up.
Yeah, and you have to be willing to change too. Like, you have a lot of deals you can do with no money down at all.
Right.
We do that. But there's nothing wrong with using debt to leverage a property if you make money on it. If you can buy a property, like we just did, completely, the whole thing on credit, right, and still make good money every single month, that's a formula for success. That's infinite return. Yeah. If you can do that. So there's always money you can find.
Yeah, we just bought a 3-family house, and we use no money. Mm-hmm. We use other people's money, and we make $987 a month or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 9. And this, as far as I'm concerned, should have been number 1, but I feel like I had to get you up to the point of having this. Sorry.
So we could understand and appreciate it?
No.
So we can what?
No, that's not it at all.
What?
I just wanted to get the underlying thing because you may not understand, and I don't want to say that you don't understand.
Appreciate
you will understand.
Like
appreciate. There you go. That's a better word. Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's a better word. Okay. All right. Do not. What does that mean?
It means not do.
Don't do this.
Yeah.
Do not do this.
What?
Please do not do this. Give concessions away freely.
Oh.
So what is a concession? A concession, definition of concession is something done or agreed to, usually grudgingly, in order to agree with or approve a situation.
It comes from concede.
Right.
Like give in.
Right. Okay.
No, if I give in, maybe you'll sell me the house. Please. Please don't be needy.
Right. So concession, do not give a concession without getting something back.
Yeah. Don't be needy.
Right.
All that stuff.
Bottom line is this. Okay. If I want to give, if you want to give $5,000 for a down payment.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do on this deal. I want to give a $5,000.
Okay.
Okay. But the seller wants $10,000.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and the seller's not willing to sell the house until they get to $10,000. Okay. So you're stuck with the $10,000.
So he takes
they're willing to sell you the house only if you give them the $10,000. But you want to do $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's a $5,000 difference, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so don't give the $5,000 unless you get something back. Like, for example, get something back in return. Mm-hmm. So you say, well, I'll give you a $10,000 down payment, but I'm going to give you this much for the price of the house. So let's say we're offering them $160,000 for the house.
Yep.
Okay. And they have equity. Okay.
Yep. So instead of giving him $5,000,
so you're willing to give him $5,000 down and pay $160.
Right.
Now he wants $10,000. You say, okay, I'll give you the $10,000, but I can only pay $150.
Yep. But see, look at the numbers. You only gave him $5,000 more than he was asking. You took $10,000 away.
Right, doubled it.
So you make it a little more painful. If you really want that, then you should be willing.
It tests whether he really wants the money or if he's just negotiating.
Yeah.
It blows through his negotiating skills.
Yep.
It tells you whether he really needs the money or if it's just a game for him to see if he can win.
Yeah, and it makes you less needy because you took $10,000 away.
Yeah. Okay, another thing that you can do is say, okay, well, I'll give, and he says, no, I won't sell for less than $155. Mm-hmm. So you got $5,000. Mm-hmm. So now what you do is you move on and say, well, instead of giving you $1,500 a month, I only want to give you $1,300 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Or instead of giving you 2 years, if you want $160 or $155 and $10,000 down, I need 5 years.
Right.
You don't give them anything unless you get something back.
And you're always negotiating either the payment right now of the deposit, the monthly payment, and the overall cost.
Right.
So there's 3 factors you can negotiate back and forth. Right. So anytime one of those slips, look at the other 2
and get it back.
And get it back.
And I always try to get back, like you said, double whatever I'm giving.
Well, that's like you said. But there's those 3 points. You lose one, you try to get one of the others to even out.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, but that makes it simple. If you say that and I don't think that in my head, I get lost. So that's the 3 things, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Keep that in mind.
It's price, payment, and terms.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
So do not give away concessions freely. So if they're asking you for something, get something in return. Mm-hmm. That is the epitome of negotiating. Okay? Number 10. So this one I don't talk about very much. And I should really make it number 11.
Oh.
But I'm going to add one as soon as we get done because I forgot to write one down. This one I don't talk about much, Peter. So it's going to be kind of short and sweet, but it's going to leave most people in mystery. And I don't mean to do that because it's not a light subject. Mm. Okay? So this one is actually, truly, my personal secret weapon that I've never, ever, 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 never, any podcast, coaching call, anything, have ever said this out loud. So this is for those who have been listening for the however long, hour and 20 minutes that we've been on this podcast. Okay. This is for you guys. This is for my coaching clients. Bill, this is for you. Okay. So here we go.
Mr. F.
Mr. F. Become a student of human nature and human behavior. If you can exploit and know why someone is being irrational or misemotional, you automatically become a stellar negotiator. Not to mention what happens to your closing ratio and your bottom line. If you understand or have some concept of human behavioral characteristics, you are way ahead of everybody else. So understand now what now regular emotions, because one thing that we do know, okay, because it's been written and proven a lot, is that people make decisions based on emotions.
Yeah.
And then justify it logically.
Yeah, right.
So wouldn't it make sense that you have a little knowledge of those emotions? At least categorize them. Like he's in anger, he's in fear, he's in antagonism. At least categorize them and know some of those traits. Mm-hmm. Right? So if the person is in a certain emotional state, you can at least predict a little bit with what they're going to do.
Now, you said exploit, so I think I need to clarify, because I'm sure you're not going to take advantage in a bad way of that. So how do you use that?
Okay, let me go back in my notes, because I kind of jumped off of that.
Yeah. Because I know you. I don't want somebody to get the idea of like exploiting somebody, like taking advantage of some problem or disability that they have.
Right. So what does exploit mean?
Well, what comes to my mind, I haven't looked it up maybe ever, but it can be take advantage of something like.
I got it.
Yeah, because.
So to me, it's to reveal.
Yeah.
Or to uncover.
Yeah.
Or open up what's going on.
Yeah.
So if somebody's being irrational or misemotional, you need to open that up. You need to exploit that. You need to bring that out in your mind. Why they're doing that.
Right. Because I've seen you do that. Yep. And what you do is you don't take advantage. You find a way to help them with that. Like, oh, you need to move in 3 weeks? Oh, my God, you're freaking out.
Right.
Then we you find something to do. Right. That's why I'm bringing that up, because I have that idea. Okay. All right.
So I've actually been in houses where I've had clients that have attempted suicide because they haven't been paying the mortgage and the spouse didn't know it.
You're kidding me. I've never heard you say that.
Yeah.
Ouch.
And had to deal with that.
Ouch.
That's a perfect example.
All right. But what I'm saying is, because I know you're not going to go, I get this house cheap and throw them out. I'm
going to help the wife catch up with the husband how we can do this.
Yeah, you'll find a way to get them through it so they win, you win, the bank taken care of.
You're going to become an ally.
Right. Good.
Not an enemy.
That's right.
You're going to become an ally. You're going to need to open that up. And if you understand human behavioral characteristics, you understand emotions, you understand the misdirection, you understand the logic, the illogic.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, one way, and I don't want to get into this now, but one way, what makes me, when it comes to negotiating, is when something is illogical, I go down that path. You
do not avoid it. You don't circumvent it. You get right in there, because there's something in there that you need to know.
Because that's where it is. That's the hidden motivation. That's the willingness. That's the thing that they're trying to solve without even trying to let others know.
Because they're embarrassed. It's bad. They don't want to talk about it. They don't know what to do about it, so they don't want to talk about it. But you can help them with that.
I take it as a compliment that when I'm making an offer, somebody ends up in tears crying. I take that as a compliment because I've pushed through the social veneer and I've invaded their privacy enough that they're actually consoling with me with, I did this and I did that. And I'm like, okay, I do not evaluate. I say, okay, how can we help? How can I help you?
Yeah.
Here's what I can do to help you. Another one is paying taxes. Another one is, there's so many of them.
Sure.
I didn't pay my water bill. All these things, they're a shame. My mother gives me $1,000 a month to support my kids, and I spend it on blah. And I haven't paid my mortgage, and when my mother finds out, oh my God. So how can we position the deal so she looks like she's selling the house for other reasons other than she's not paying the mortgage? Right? So many different examples.
Yeah.
Okay. So you should know something. You should master this. Okay. And that's very hard to do because society in itself hasn't mastered this. The most unknown thing on planet Earth is a human being's mind. That's the least thing that we know about.
And what we do know,
all the science that we have,
in school, I took that class. They talked about rats. I swear to God. So I left as soon as I could. And there's so many different opinions. So do the best you can to find some truth out there.
I am not talking about psychology. Psychology does not have it right. Psychology is all based on, the word psychology itself is a misnomer. Because if you break the word down, what does it mean?
Well, psyche means soul, spirit.
Right.
And studying that.
Right.
Which they deny exists, so they changed it to mind, I understand, some years ago. And I actually talked to him and says, we're not sure the mind exists. Great. And he says, we're not even sure we're really here. I seriously hauled off and kicked him in the leg.
So what Peter's saying, in his convoluted way here, is the word psychology is psyche, which means soul. Yeah. If you study psychology, what they tell you is man is a meat body.
Animal.
He's got a brain, which is where your memory is, which is not true as far as I'm concerned. And that he doesn't have a soul. So how could the word psychology mean the study of the soul when they don't even believe in the soul?
Yeah,
a lot of it goes back to Freudian and his sexual relations when you're a kid.
And Professor Wundt.
And Wundt. And
Wundt, yeah. Blah, 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 blah.
If you study all that stuff, you'll realize it's not logical. That's all I'm saying.
The only part that's logical is the part that you already know. Yeah, I know that. So you already know some basics. So
I'm not telling you to go study psychology. What I'm telling you to study is emotions, not psychology. They're different. They're two different. In fact, I'll tell you what to do. Here's what I'll tell you what to do. I just thought of this. Emma, can you look up a book for me, please? It's Psycho-Cybernetics. It's a great book. It bounces around the idea of psychology. Not psychology, of human behavioral characteristics. It's a good book to read. Who is the author? Maxwell Maltz. Maxwell Maltz. Dan Kennedy owns the rights to Maxwell Maltz.
Wow.
Psycho-Cybernetics. It's a great book to read. Read that book, and that'll get you started on the path that I'm talking about. Psycho-Cybernetics. It's a great book. I forgot about that, though, just now.
Cool.
Okay. Now, number 11. The podcast is over, but I'm going to go to number 11. Because the last thing I want to talk about, and I didn't write anything on it, so I'm just going to kind of do it from whatever. Have a plan. When you're negotiating, have a plan, have a goal. Know where you want to go. Just don't go in blind.
Okay.
And when I mean have a plan, I don't mean like I plan to buy this house. That's not a plan. What I go in to each and every offer or presentation or negotiation with is, my plan is this. How can I help the other person? And did you put that in the Facebook group? So I'm going to put a link for Psycho-Cybernetics in the Facebook group. If you're on Facebook, go to Flipping Houses for Rookies. You can watch the recording of this podcast, and the link is there. Okay. Have an idea of what you want. My idea is to go in and help my seller attain their goals. That's my goal. That's what I want when I'm negotiating. I want to help, and I don't care what I'm negotiating. I mean, I sold consulting for many years. That's what I traveled on the road for. We sold automotive repair consulting. Okay, they came to a $400 seminar and got sold a $13,000 coaching program or a consulting program if they qualify
for their automotive business,
for automotive repair shops. Right. You need to be a consultative sales person, right? So what you're doing is you're trying to match your product with their needs. So if you don't match what they want, like if they want all their money in 10 days, you may not match that. And it's a full asking price. You can't match that. Let them go to the realtor, and the realtor can do that.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with that. Know when to walk away. Right? If they're willing to make $343,000 over the course of 30 years on a $200,000 house to give to their autistic grandchild, then that's what you should do.
Arrange that some way.
But you've helped them. So know what your goal is. I'm helping you with your goal right now. I suggest you do what I do. You don't have to, but know what your end result is. Your end result is that when here's a rule of mine. I don't always practice it, but I try. When you have a conversation with me, I'm hoping you walk away thinking you got something from it. I added value to your life somehow, some way.
But Bill, that's so backwards than what we most try to do. Right. Because most of us who get into real estate, or should I say all of us, get into it because I want to make a bunch of money. Right. I want to buy some houses. I'm going to make all this money. We get on the phones. We talk to people. I got this great deal. I'm going to buy this house. And you walk in, you sit down thinking, I'm going to buy this house. It's the wrong way to do it.
The only way to make money is to have a completed product that has value.
Yeah.
So this is your completed product with value. Is your ability to consult your seller, walk them through the sale, and give them what they want.
Yeah.
Because that's why they're selling. There is no reason to sell a house other than to solve a problem or get money. There's no reason to sell a house other than that. So know that going in. Your goal is that they have a problem or they need money. And usually they're connected together. They need the money to solve the problem.
Sure.
And they don't know what else
I've
to
even
do.
told that to people on the phone if they feel suspicious, like, oh, well, you're an investor. Says, well, yes, I do buy properties, but I can't buy your property unless I find a way to help you sell it with whatever you're trying to do. If I can help you, then I can buy the house. You win, I win.
Right.
If they're like, oh, that sounds right, then you can keep talking. That's on the phone sometimes.
Right.
But you have to have that attitude, and you have that most of the time.
Right.
If not all the time.
Yeah,
and we don't when we start this.
Sometimes I get aggravated. Sometimes I just came through a period of a week where I was extremely like, I don't know what my problem. Well, I do know what my problem is. I fixed it. I went and got help. So here's the parting words I want to give to you. 80-20 rule. Right? 20% of your activity is going to give you 80% of your money. Okay? Well, let's reverse that. 80% of the population is good. 20% is being influenced by the bad guys.
The negative types.
So, not to get into politics, but right now in 2019, there's a bunch of politics going on. And I think the reason why we are struggling with politics is because the current president, Mr. Donald Trump, is actually speaking to the 80% of the population that's good. He's saying things like, let's make America great. Let's do this. Let's do that. And I know that I'm going to get support tickets. I'm not supporting Donald Trump. I'm just saying if you look at the realization of it, he's pushing, let's make America great. Let's not have war. Let's be rich and plentiful. Let's have a good military and protect ourselves. Let's make sure that people on the borders don't keep coming in and taking our money, because a guy like me wants to work and keep my money. I don't want to work and give it to 14 other people because they didn't work. Okay? That kind of stuff he's saying. That hits 80%. That hits the social population. In other words, their personality is a social personality.
Yep.
It's not an antisocial personality. Right? So that 20% that doesn't want that is not good.
And they're really spinning. And my 2 cents, and just take this as what we should all be doing. I think people have a very hard time really telling who the good guy and the bad guy is.
Correct.
Very, very
just like they
difficult.
have trouble figuring out a prospect
very
and a
difficult.
suspect.
And you make up your mind after a very short time, and you won't change it. You just won't change. You're stuck on it. But this is the world that we put Jesus on the cross, gave money to Hitler, put Galileo on the turret, called Columbus an idiot, Edison is a fool. And Wright brothers are morons. That's the planet we live on. So pretty much we get it wrong just about every damn. We shot Kennedy. We shot Martin Luther King. We get it wrong about every damn time. So open your damn eyes and don't be fooled. And I'm not saying who the good guy and bad guy is. You go figure it out. But don't be fooled fast. Take your time. Look.
The parting words are, because we'll rant on this.
Hey, Bill, I did a rant.
So the parting words are: the true enemy in society, the true enemy in your real estate business, the true enemy in your family, the true enemy in your environment or your surroundings is the pretender. The guy that pretends he's helping you, and he really isn't. The guy that's pretending he's going to sell his house to you, and he doesn't want to, and he's not going to. The true enemy is the pretender. So always look for the fake guy, the pretender. He's the flashy guy. He's the guy with the fancy jewelry. He's the guy with the stinky perfume. He's the guy with the big Cadillac. He's the guy with the big house. Those are usually the pretenders, because the millionaires, the real money guys, live modestly, and they usually try to hide their money. So look for the pretenders. Last thing I want to plug is Kiyosaki's book, Fake. Go read that.
Oh my God. I'm doing the MP3 file on the disc. Oh my God. Unbelievable.
Okay. So we've went way over our time. Last thing I want to say, the last thing I want to say is please, 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 I'm begging. How am I doing? I'm begging.
Billy, I think you're sounding needy.
Please go give us
We don't
reviews.
need your stinking reviews.
Yeah, there you go. go give us reviews. We like the reviews. I've had a lot of people give us reviews. If you like what we're helping you with, I know that the podcasts have been long lately. We could shorten them up if you want. I've had one person send me a support ticket saying they want a 30-minute podcast. That person that sent that review, I have information for you that when I look at the downloads, the amount of downloads, we do a lot more downloads with the longer podcast than the shorter ones. And we actually named them 30-minute talk on, and we tested it, and we found that the longer podcast, I know they're long, and I know they're drone on, but these are not podcasts. These are workshops lately. They're mini workshops.
Yeah. See, a lot of the short stuff tells you what you should do, but not how, not what things mean. These are longer because you can actually take some data on what to do, how to do it. So it's going to take longer to get that. Yeah. This isn't a pep rally, folks.
So we'll shorten them up here pretty soon because I'm almost done with the tangent of things that I wanted, because I've hit some pretty hard subjects. Like negotiating is a pretty hard. You don't talk about that in 15 minutes. So please go give us reviews. Check us out on flippinghousesforrookies.com. The podcast is there. There's a bunch of free stuff on the flippinghousesforrookies.com site. If you go to the top, we have a bunch of courses that you can buy all the way from $37 to $500. There's books on there. There's articles on there. There's all kinds of stuff on there. So go check it out. Okay? Thanks for being with us today. Talk to you next week. Over and out.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.